Oh hey, I haven't had a visitor here in a long time. Sorry about the mess. I haven't cleaned in a little bit. It's nice to finally be out of my room for once. Say, you don't listen to death metal, do you? Oh, cool. I'm just gonna have you put this on first and we can start today's alternative history lesson. Put it on. Put it on! Put on the fucking deodorant! Put on the fucking deodorant! Okay, fine, you disgusting animal. Anyway, hi, I'm Deezy. Let's talk about Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse is one of the most controversial bands of the last 30-something years, and honestly, I would argue it's because of the fact that they're the #1 commercially successful death metal band of all time. With millions of sales, you've probably heard the name, even if you've never heard them specifically. So Cannibal Corpse has gone through a lot of changes over the years. It's basically not even the same band at this point, but somehow they're still kicking. So let's start off at the very beginning. So in Buffalo, New York, the place where dreams go to die, there was a few bands that were gaining some pretty decent traction, like Beyond Death, Tyrant Sin, and Leviathan. And out of these bands, a few members kind of Frankenstein themselves together to create Cannibal Corpse in December of 1988. The original members of the band consisted of Alex Webster, Jack Owen, Paul Markinowicz, just put the name on the screen. Chris Barnes and Bob Rousset, with Barnes being in both Leviathan and Tyrant Sin. Way to double dip, my guy. Alex Webster was the one who originally came up with the name Cannibal Corpse, and the lyrics draw heavy inspiration from horror movies and fiction. Originally, Chris Barnes was responsible for the band's lyrics, but after his departure in 1997, George Fisher became the main lyricist, which we'll get into more later. The band played its first ever show at River Rock Cafe just shortly after its formation in March of 1989. And within the year, it was signed to Metal Blade Records after Barnes' manager at a record shop sent them their first self-titled demo album that consisted of 5 songs with pretty disgusting names, like A Skull Full of Maggots. But hey, who's really surprised? It's death metal. These guys are freaks who aren't afraid to show it, so respect for that, I guess. Me personally, I'll be sticking with my 80s goth music, but you know, you do you. Who am I to judge? Let's be so for real. So after Metal Blade heard the demo album, they were like, oh shit, we gotta get these guys a real album. And in August of 1990, Cannibal Corpse's debut album, Eaten Back to Life, was released. Since then, Cannibal Corpse has made 16 studio albums, 3 live albums, 1 box set, 2 extended plays, 4 video albums, 18 music videos, and as of filming this, they have played 1,379 concerts. So needless to say, they're a little bit successful. At the same time, in Florida, you know, the US state where people get high on bath salts and eat each other's faces, where the gators run rampant and Mickey Mouse drags his nuts all around everybody's property, yeah, that Florida. There was an emerging death metal scene, so the Cannibal Corpse boys packed up their shit and moved on down to good old Tampa, Florida, the land of retired Republicans and millennial hippies. After releasing music with a heavier tone and more guttural vocals, the band had its first tour around America in 1992. This era led to us getting the family-friendly Cannibal Corpse tunes that our parents know and love today, such as I Come Blood and Entrails Ripped from a Virgin's. I still don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. But anyway, Cannibal Corpse had a lot of changes of who's in the band and who's out of the band starting in February of 1993, when the guitarist Bob Rousset was dismissed from the band. Some sources say he quit, others say he was dismissed. I don't know what happened, it's not my place to sleuth it out for you depraved animals, but what I do know is that he's a golf instructor now. Editor me, put up a little picture of this man on the course here. Very studious. I hope he gets a hole-in-one today. Also, little fun fact that I had no clue where to put in this video, Cannibal Corpse makes their first appearance in a movie in 1994, and if you can guess which one it is, I'll give you like a crisp high five or whatever. I'll wait. If you guessed anything besides Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, you're wrong. What the fuck are they doing there anyway? Yeah, back to the topic though. There's been a lot of changes in the band. After Rousset left, he was replaced with Malevolent Creations' Bob Barrett on the guitar. And in 1997, Chris Barnes was dismissed after having personal differences with the rest of the band. He was later replaced by George Corpse Grinder Fisher, who has the thickest neck I have ever seen on a man. Jesus Christ. I know that's definitely muscles built up from swinging his head around constantly, but I don't even think a guillotine could take this guy's head off. So, some fun facts about Corpse Grinder while we're at it. In 1991, he made his first studio album debut with Suffocation's Effigy of Forgotten. He originally was the lead vocalist of the band Monstrosity, where he did vocals for the first 2 albums. His neck is just extremely thick from building up muscles through headbanging and lifting weights, according to him, and he's absolutely cracked at the claw machine for some reason. He's also a big fan of World of Warcraft. What a fucking nerd. Very shortly after, we had yet another change as Rob Barrett left the band and rejoined Malevolent Creations. He was then replaced by Pat O'Brien. This is important. In 2004, Jack Owens left to spend more time on his second band, Adrift, and then was replaced by Jeremy Turner of Origin, but then Jack Owens came back for Northwest Death Fest in 2005. I know, there's a lot of drama, but stick with me here. So, death metal. It's controversial, right? Who would have guessed? Now, there's a lot of different things that bands have done, and I'm not going to get into that in today's lesson, but let's talk about some up shit because that's what this channel is all about. So starting off tame, a lot of metalheads don't really like Cannibal Corpse because they're pretty mainstream. Metal music itself is a counterculture, so that's the first controversy out of the way. But mainstream audiences don't like Cannibal Corpse either. The band has been banned in Germany, Russia, and Australia. How the do you get banned in Australia? And though some have been lifted, they're still not very well liked for being too violent and grotesque, which is kind of the whole point of it. Would you rather someone become a serial killer or make violent music? It's an expression of feelings, one of which I would say is a little bit better than the other. It's like when you bring a bachelorette party to a rage room. They gotta get it out in a healthy way that hurts no one, otherwise someone's gonna die. It's just metal therapy, you know? So Cannibal Corpse was banned in Australia from the years of 1996 to 2006, with an 18+ restriction being put on them now for their use of graphic imagery and lyrics. According to the bassist Alex Webster in an interview with Tone Deaf, the band didn't even really know much about the bands itself, which I think is kind of funny. We didn't really know that much about the controversy. That's the sort of thing our record label keeps close tabs on, but the band doesn't know much about it. So we had heard about the band, but we weren't really sure about the details. The German ban on Cannibal Corpse's first 3 albums was also lifted in 2006, but recently, in 2023, they released a coloring book which was deemed not safe for work, and of course, Germany banned it for its violent nature. In 2014, Russia banned Cannibal Corpse's music and artwork, citing it as, quote, damage to the mental health of children. Way to go, Russia. Once again, you have banned everything fun. So between Christians deeming the music satanic and having music banned, there isn't really anything else to add as far as controversies. So that's really all I have for today. Oh. The video title. Okay, trigger warning bitches, it's about to get gnarly. So on December 18th of 2018, guitarist Pat O'Brien was arrested for assault and battery on a cop as well as a neighboring woman. So O'Brien was having some sort of like insane mental and extreme break and broke into a neighboring woman's home where he pushed her to the ground and screamed, "The rapture is coming," you know, as one does. And when the cops finally showed up, he proceeded to charge at them with a knife, to which he was immediately shot with a stun gun. Normal Tuesday evening behavior, I guess. But the real fun began when the home O'Brien was renting became engulfed in flames while this was going down. Once the fire was put out though, deputies searched the home and found 80 firearms. About 50 of them were shotguns, fun fact. The others were mainly handhelds and semi-automatics. A couple of flamethrowers, various other weapons, thousands of rounds of ammunition, which kept exploding and made it really hard for the firefighters to put out the fire. And the most fun of all, 3 human skulls. I can't find where he got them, and quite frankly, I do not want to know. But O'Brien was put on bail for $50,000, and he was officially charged with aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer with a deadly weapon and burglary of an occupied dwelling with assault or battery. He was released 4 days later on December 14th, 2018. I don't know why people were shocked about something like this happening. I mean, they had songs called shit like Stripped and Strangled. It's like when schools ignore the weird kid on Twitter tweeting about how much they love Columbine. But in all seriousness though, there's thousands of metal bands out there, and incidents like this are very few and far between. But we really only hear about them when it's someone famous that the media can use to push the idea of all alternative culture bad. Though the other members of Cannibal Corpse have not really condemned O'Brien's actions, they have tried to convince him to get better, do better, and seek extreme mental health counseling. The official statement from the band states, "As a band and as individuals, we all want nothing but the best for our brother and partner Pat. While we can offer no further information about the incident, we wanted everyone to know that Pat is getting the help he needs and appreciates the love and support from Cannibal Corpse fans around the world. Pat is currently with family and friends and looks forward to a healthy return at some point. For anyone wondering, all Cannibal Corpse touring will happen as planned and all shows will be played." In 2021, Pat O'Brien was officially replaced by Eric Rutan, who's most well known for being in Morbid Angel. As of 2024, Pat O'Brien is currently the lead guitarist for Ex-Hoarder and is currently working on a solo project as well. It truly seems like O'Brien has tried to change his life for the better and has put the work in to heal himself and fix his mistakes. The band has supported him through his mental health journey and seemed to be truly thankful that nobody was seriously injured. When the incident occurred, George Fisher expressed that he was shocked to hear about O'Brien's incident and that he unfortunately, quote, broke down after seeing him in court with an anti-suicide vest on. In addition to the support from the band members, drummer Paul Mazurkovich's, I hope I pronounced that right this time, I did have to Google it, then wife created a crowdfunding campaign to help him get back on his feet since at the time he didn't really have a lot of the necessities he needed to survive. Yeah, that was some crazy shit that happened. But at least he hasn't taken pictures of his dead friend's corpse for an album cover. Mayhem. The bar is on the floor for alternative music. Oh my god. Okay, just to even out some of the gross stuff we talk about on this channel, let's talk about something good and wholesome for a second. So you know how I mentioned earlier that Corpse Grinder is really good at claw machines? Well, fun fact, a lot of the toys he wins he donates to children at hospitals and to charity. Aw, isn't that nice? If you or a loved one are struggling with going cuckoo crazy bananas, try metal music or therapy. There's a lot of free online sites where you can talk to volunteers anonymously, and if there's any alternative history you'd like me to talk about in the future, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Now put on deodorant and get the fuck out of my house. Bye!
Ja, jetzt nimm dann wieder hier rum, sorry. Hier, für die Bahn.